Going on, guys? This is Sean Gaming here, and I'm showing you me thumbnail. I hope you guys like it. It took me about like an hour to make. This is what I'm going to be using from now on, using that type of thumbnail, because I thought it looks pretty smart. I wanted to make it look professional and that, but you know, instead of just looking at bland and boring and all that, like my previous thumbnails that I've done. So I've tried to smarten it up a bit. But anyways, enough talking about the thumbnail. I'm talking to you about what happened in the latest race in the Axalta Cup Series. Before I show you the video, I'm going to talk to you about qualifying. And we did this go home qualifying because this is my first season in this league, and you know, we did our first race last week and at Watkins Glen, and I surprised myself by finishing in second in my very first race in this league. The guy who runs the league, I know him back in the PS3 days when we did NASCAR the game, when we did like NASCAR leagues and that as well, so you know, it was easy for me to sign up for this series. But like I said, I surprised myself by finishing second in my very first GT3 race. So then coming into this round at Brno, we were not looking forward to this because this track is McLaren OP. And what I mean by OP, you watch the video and see how they go on the straights. It is unreal. So I'm going to show you the video right now, show you from my perspective how the race panned out for me. So as you can see, we're racing at Brno, but we've just been told that there's a caution, so we all had to slow down. For those who didn't watch the qualifying, I kind of felt like I secured pole position as Broski nearly hits me from the rear, on the rear view mirror. But again, like at Watkins Glen, I surprised myself by actually qualifying in second place, and a lot of people thought it was going to, because we've got 5 McLarens in this league, and like I said, this track is McLaren OP. As you'll see in the video how quick the McLarens are on the straight compared to myself in the BMW. You will see that later on. But yeah, we thought it was going to be like a McLaren top 5 as Broski then hits me properly in the back. That was quite charming. But yeah, I'll say it again for the third time. We were not looking forward to qualifying because we thought it was going to be like a McLaren 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in qualifying. It turned out it didn't turn out that way. It was a McLaren 1, 3, 4 and 5 because I got second place in my BMW. I can't remember what lap time it was. I think it was about a 2-minute point 3, I think it was. I was half a second slower than the guy that was just ahead of me, GTR. He started on the pole. Yeah. The gap though between first I think it was 7, was about a second, so it was very close. It was pretty, you know, decent. Got to the race. By the end of the first corner, I was down in 4th position because 2 of the McLarens, I can't remember who it was, ERXI I think it is, and Mugen got good starts as well. Mugen's actually the guy that's in the lead at the moment. He got away off to a good start, and by the end of the first couple of laps I was down to 4th. Then I was trying to make a move on the guy ahead of me, GTR, on the 3rd lap, on the penultimate corner, made contact. We both got stuck and we both went off into the grass, but we didn't lose any positions though, because we already had such a big advantage over the guy that was in 5th position at the time, which was Eric Jeff. And then it just kind of stayed like that until the first caution came out at lap 10. Luckily enough for me, 3 of the McLarens that were ahead of me came into the pit lane, so I took over the lead. Hollywood was in second at the time because he pitted in on the very first lap, because in this league you have to do a mandatory pit stop. So I was leading for quite a few laps, and it felt pretty good. And the guy behind me was Broski. He was like behind me, and then the second caution came out on lap 18, and that's when I decided to pit. However, I did get a halfway bonus point because in this league, if you lead at the half distance point, which as you can see on the bottom right, there's 30 laps, so half distance is 15. I led lap 15 and I got a bonus point for that. So that was the plan. I stayed out when the 3 McLarens that were ahead of me, when the caution came out on lap 10, all pitted, and I took advantage of that, and then, you know, that was it. I got a bonus point for leading halfway. And then the caution came out again on lap 18, which I made my pit stop, and then I fell down to 15th. When the green flag came back out, by the end of the first lap of the green flag, I was about 8th position. and I was working my way through the order. We were stuck behind Broski for quite a while because he was quite slow, to be fair. He was braking very early at the corners, and he was holding a massive traffic jam between us and the McLarens as well. We're just about ready to go green flag here, and then I'll tell you what was going on in the race. Now, I'm actually losing my voice. I don't know why. Let me cough a bit. That's not worked. So anyways, we're coming round towards the final corner, and we actually get going at the start-finish line. It's not a case of when the leader goes, we all go. So we restart the race now, back on lap 26. We've got 5 laps to go. As you can see there, Broski was making a look to the inside. I didn't want him to get by me because he would have caused a massive traffic jam. No disrespect to him, he's a good racer, but it was just a case of him braking extremely early. As you can see on the bottom left, we did manage to get second place there. We nearly made contact with GTR again, but then as you can see there, look at the speed difference between the Beamer and the McLaren on the straightaways. It's uncatchable. Then I saw Broski made a look on the inside. He passes me. Jeff had contact from the rear. Then, and this is all happening now. Broski's ahead of me, and then as you see here coming into this corner, I brake a lot later than him. I brake at the first shadow bit right there, and he brakes a little bit early. And again, it's causing a bit of a kerfuffle, and you can see on the map there how much he's holding him up. And now GTR's managed to get in second. I think he turned in a bit on Broski, which, okay, I thought I'll take advantage of it, but no, still. Broski still had that second in, but unfortunately we lost Hollywood there because of his disconnection. I think it was more of a lag out rather than a rage quit. But at the end though, we managed to get by Broski. That was the most important thing for me. Then I was trying to protect my position for Broski not to get by me when we go into the right-hander. Now, this track here, as I said with the McLarens, with them being so OP around here, it's normally the first and the third sectors when the McLarens are pretty good. The second sector the BMW comes into its play because of the corners that's in the second sector. That's when I can slowly catch up to the McLarens. It's roughly about maybe about 4 to 6 tenths that I can gain the McLarens in the second sector, but then that gap disappears when it comes to the first and the third sectors. As you can see there, the gap's going up between myself and Mugen coming into the start-finish line. So I was trying to defend my second place there because I was too worried about Broski because he caught me up in the last corner. And then I felt a little bit comfortable behind me because I don't think Broski would have made a move on me now, although it is still 3 tenths behind. And like I said, Mugen's still pulling away from me, and then that's the end of the first sector. And then this is when I start to gain on the McLarens at the second part. As you can see in the mirror there, GTR tries to have a look on the inside of Broski, but still to no avail. I think he actually gets the job done at this corner right here. As you can see in the mirror, he's got the inside, and yeah, that's it. He's now properly got into that third position, and now he's going to hunt me down. I will have to say this though, like myself at Watkins Glen, I did surprise myself how well I did at this track. We did practice, and I think I did the most laps in this car. I didn't practice this track at all the whole week, like some of the others have. I actually did it on the very same night we did this league race, and I was getting faster and faster and faster. I was getting more confident in the car, more confident in the track, knowing where my braking points is. As you can see, I ran just a little bit too wide there, lost the apex quite a lot. But as you can see there, that's the end of the second sector. I was about, 1.8 behind Mugen, and there you can see I was 1.5. And then, and now, as you'll see here, just the McLaren just drive away. Mugen just driving away, 1.6 there. And then it's going up to 1.7. So that's what I was meaning. This track really helps the McLaren so much because of the amount of straights that there are. And it was virtually impossible to try and catch up with a McLaren, with me being in the BMW. As you can see, there's quite a gap between GTR in third and Broski, who was fourth in position at the time, as we've got 3 laps to go. And yeah, getting back to what I was saying, this was really, really difficult, and I would honestly say, I don't want to sound too big-headed when I say this, but I felt this was one of my best drives that I've done for quite a while. It wasn't as perfect as how I won my second touring car championship. It wasn't as perfect as that. Is because you'll see here later on I did make a little bit of a mistake, and to be honest, that was the only mistake I've done in this race. I think it is this lap actually that I go off here. I completely misjudged my braking point here, and the car just understeers so much, and now into the gravel. That was the only mistake I'd ever done in this whole race. That was the only time I made a mistake, and GTR now all over me. As the battle for second place is lunging on. This GTR guy who's now past me, because I just let him go. I didn't want to fight him because there was a big gap between myself and Broski in third. I didn't want to fight that second place. I would have been, more happy to finish in second place, but as you'll see in a lap's time, it's going to be very, very interesting. So now, I was trying to help GTR to catch up to Mugen, but to me it was just Mugen was just too strong in that McLaren, and I think that gap is pretty big. We tried to sneak a look on the inside, but to no avail. And now we're coming up towards the last two corners, and then you can just see how the McLaren just drives away. Just bye bye. And I mean, like I said, I was happy to finish in third position. Excuse me. I felt like having third position would be a win anyways, because again, don't want to sound big-headed when I say this, but I felt like I was the best non-McLaren driver out there. I was ahead of the other BMWs by about a second every time, even in qualifying. Except for one degenerate. I mean, me and one degenerate had a chat after qualifying, saying, these McLarens might not have their own way, and it turned out to be the case. I mean, okay, the McLaren boys led a lot of the laps, but I was there still, at least a couple of seconds behind them. I get a good exit off that corner there, if you can tell. But then not for long, because now the McLaren's away. So yeah, I mean, this is a great track. I love Brno. Yeah, there, as you can see there, I followed the same line as GTR. He has a different line into this corner, whereas I take it a bit different. And then you'll see here, he makes a little mistake. He has two wheels on the grass, and then I'm all over him again. And then I thought to myself, no, forget trying to settle back into third place. I want second place. I want another second place. According to last week, GTR wants some redemption after what happened in the opening round of the championship last week at Watkins Glen, because it was coming towards the last few laps. I was sitting in second, GTR in third. He overtakes me, and then he was trying to pass Mizzou, who was in the white McLaren. You won't see him in this video because we're too far ahead. And then on the last corner, GTR tried to make a look on the inside of Mizzou. Mizzou turns in on GTR, spins him out, spins him in the pit lane, and I got second place as a result. But as you'll see here, coming up to the last corner, he will lose it. And then I was like, whoa, what? How did he do this? You see it here, clips the curb, and then his car goes completely sideways. And then at this point, I thought, was there some sort of lag issue or something like that? Because usually you can't lose the car at that last corner, and that was really strange to see a car nearly losing it at the last corner. So we're in the last lap now. We've retaken second position, and then I looked on the bottom right, and you can see GTR's car. The gap now is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it was after the race I talked to GTR and says, "What happened to you in the last lap?" And he said he ran out of fuel. So, that was very unfortunate for GTR, but good news for me, we have got ourselves a net second place for the second race in a row, might I add. There was no point catching to Mugen. The gap's 2.1 seconds. I wasn't going to catch him at all. So I was just driving how I did the other 30 laps and just drove how I did, and managed to get a second place, but that felt like a massive win, because I mean, I've said all along how this track favours the McLarens. They really didn't have their own way. I mean, I led a few laps when the McLarens made their pit stops, and yeah, it just turned out, it felt like a win for me personally, because I challenged the McLarens. There was no one else. There was no one else apart from me that could challenge the McLarens to get a good finish. When we did the practice, when we did the go or go home qualifying, when we did the qualifying, you know, the other drivers apart from me couldn't catch up with the McLarens, except for Wanda General, who was battling with the likes of EXR and Mugen, because they started, I think, 3rd and 4th, and I can't mind if Wanda General actually was starting in 6th. I think it must have been 6th position. But anyways, we're coming up now to the last 2 corners there, and yeah, another 2nd place in the bag. And with Mizzou finishing, I can't remember when Mizzou finished. I think he came in 5th position. That was me getting the championship lead, and only my 2nd ever race in this league. I am the points leader after Bruno. And as you see there, race complete, 205 seconds. You know, I didn't want to record it all. But that's my lovely looking car. That's my lovely Beamer. And what a drive. Like I said, it was one of my best drives. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching. And tune into the next thing. I could post up Rocket League or anything like that. But here's the results after this race and the points after Bruno. So until then, give this a comment, like, and subscribe to Sean Yoshi Gaming, please. It would be greatly appreciated. Bye bye.